What's up everyone, I'm Torvolduruz and this is the T5 T6 Gamma Vagabond. I have been breezing through T5 sites easily with this thing and it's been an absolute blast. My plan with this ship is to keep flying T5 Gammas until I've made enough ISK to pay for it, then I'll move up to T6s. It's really not that expensive, clocking in at around 1.8 billion ISK. If you think that's too expensive, I don't think you should be running T5 Abyssals. Being able to run T5s for under 2 billion ISK is pretty good in my opinion. Now speaking of the price tag, here is the fit. As you can see, there is room for upgrades, but this fit will work in T5 Gammas and T6 Gammas. I know the assault damage control is a little bit of a topic that people like to bring up. I personally like having it. It's a nice little oh crap button to have in certain situations, and I've definitely used it. And yes, of course, the implants are mixed. You can mix high grade and mid grade implants. The reason why that's done here is because of cost. I'm not going to go too much into that. If you're really curious about it, just do your own research, look at the market value and the boost they provide. But here it is. This is the T5 T6 Gamma Vagabond. Now before I get into actually how to fly this ship, if you have not already done so, join the in-game channel Abyssal Lurkers as well as the Discord, which you can find linked in the description of the video below. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up button. That would help me out a lot and I'd really appreciate it. Alright, jumping in here to show you how it's done. It would not be a complete Abyssal guide without showing you how to do Karybdis Tyrannos, otherwise known as the infamous Karen. Now there's a couple initial priorities you have to focus on right away. 1. Mitigating damage from Karybdis Tyrannos while also flying in her direction and getting closer to her. Ultimately, you want to be under her gun, so that's priority number 1. Priority number 2, and this is a really close second, is the add-ons. Specifically, the webbing and neutralizing NPCs. This is where you're going to have to multitask, which is expected when you're flying something like a Vagabond compared to a Gila or a Stormbringer. You really have to pay attention when you're flying this thing. So while you're vectoring in on Karybdis Tyrannos, getting closer to her, you are also focusing on staying away from webs and newts and taking them out. The initial burn-in on Karybdis Tyrannos can be rough, but as long as you're doing it correctly and taking out the right NPCs, you should be golden. You'll get to a point in this room where all you're doing is orbiting Karen, putting damage into her, and just kind of relaxing. It's going to be up to you to prioritize webs and newts. You're going to make a decision based on what's going on, what you want to focus on first. Sometimes I really like to hammer down on newts. Sometimes I'll go back and forth and take one of each out at a time. I can explain to you how to do it, but I can't fly your ship for you, so please make sure you're on top of this stuff while you're in the abyss. I can't tell you how many times people blame me because they did something wrong or it doesn't work for them, and like I said, I cannot fly your ship for you. But that is the Karybdis Tyrannos encounter. Alright, next is the Overmind. This one is very similar to how you're going to deal with Karen. You're going to do the same thing where you fly at an angle to the Overmind, increase that transversal to reduce damage taken while also taking out the snarecasters. Now this guy can get some nasty hits in, but do not panic. And if you do panic, you've got an assault damage control. Between the assault damage control, heating your shield booster, and popping the boosters you have in your cargo hold, you'll be good to go. This one is as easy as getting under his guns, taking out the snarecasters, and pumping damage into him, and you are good to go. Alright, the next encounter we got here are Leshaks. These guys definitely hurt a little bit more than I thought they would. One thing I definitely recommend doing is before you go into the next encounter in any scenario, go ahead and load Barrage. Having Barrage loaded allows you to get that initial damage on while you're burning into fusion or hail range. Now priority here is obviously going to be these starving Leshaks. Your capacitor is precious and these guys want it. Here you'll want to burn down the starving Leshaks while getting closer to the other Leshaks so you can get your higher damage ammo and reduce the amount of damage they're doing. I guess that's it really. There's really not much to it. You just gotta take down the Leshaks, do it before your capacitor runs out. Don't let them spool up damage on you. Again, do not be afraid to heat if you need to. A little bit of heat goes a long way. Always bring nanite repair paste with you so you can repair after an encounter. But that's the Leshak room. Really not much to it. Just don't let them drain your capacitor and take them out before they take you out. I guess that's kind of how the whole entire abyss works, but yeah, here's that one. And next up we have the Angel Cartel room. This one really was not as bad as I thought it would be. My advice, go into this one using Fusion. Now, priority here is going to be Dramules and Cinnables, but if there are any Echoes or Furies around, you can snipe them pretty easily. Remember to use the environment to your advantage. If there's a tracking tower or a blue cloud, you can use that to help you track these smaller things a heck of a lot easier. But overall, I had zero issues with this room. I came into it expecting a lot worse and came out feeling pretty good about it. Also, quick note, do not perma-run your modules if you don't need to. You do not need to have your shield booster and afterburner going the entire time you're in the abyss. It's kind of hypocritical for me to say that because I have a really bad habit of doing it myself, but try to pay attention to that. You'll thank yourself for that when you go into a room with a lot of neutralizers and you have plenty of cap because you didn't perma-run your modules. So just a little something to think about, be aware of, and try to improve. I'm working on it myself. Alright, the last encounter I'm going to show you for this video is the Kikimora encounter. Now, I'm not going to lie, I kind of butchered this one. This one was a little tougher for me. So I went to this room with Barrage loaded, but then I really screwed up, and instead of clicking on Fusion, I accidentally clicked on EMP. And that kind of set the tone for a nice little shit show. The star of that shit show being these Kikimoras whomping on my Vagabond. So you can see here, it's already a bad scenario with all these ghostings. Ghosting Kikimoras are going to be your #1 priority because they are going to hurt your tracking, and that's not good. Now, like I said before, use the environment to your advantage. Tracking towers are gold during these scenarios. Now, if you don't have a tower or a blue cloud to help you out, I hope you brought drop in your cargo hold, because this is one of those times where if you don't have either of those two advantages, you're going to be using drop. But of course, the focus here is going to be the ghosting Kikimoras. Take them out and just burn them all down. This is another one of those scenarios where the assault damage control gave me a fluffy little pillow to land on when I was taking quite a bit of damage. So yeah, Kikimoras can be nasty. Watch out for those. Do not get complacent in Kikimora rooms. And that is the Gamma Vagabond that I have been working with. Again, as I said, my goal is to run T5 Gammas with this thing until I have made enough IS to pay it off, and then I'm going to jump into T6s. As I said before, you have to fly this ship. You cannot get complacent. Just because you watch the guide and you've got the fit doesn't mean you can just go in and survive everything without thinking about it. I guarantee there's going to be someone that tries this fit, dies, and then blames me for it. It always happens. Hopefully you enjoyed this video and you try the Vagabond out for yourself. This thing is a blast to fly, plus it makes some really good money. If you like the video, please hit the thumbs up. I would really appreciate that. If you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the comment section below or ask it in the Abyssal Lurkers Discord or the Abyssal Lurkers in-game channel. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see y'all in space.